Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have it in. Some more. Let's get some more.
Why, hello, everyone out there in Whiskey Land, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access, whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. Sorry, the whole screen shut down there for a second. That was supposed to come up right there. But I'm wishing everyone a happy new year. Sorry, we're a little late with one or two things like our craft whiskey awards, but that is all my fault. I have been sick for over a week, so that's why we have not gotten to that. You will see that next Monday will be our live stream then. Actually, we're going to record it Thursday, and we will play it on Monday. And we'll be here just to walk through it with you like we always are with all of our wonderful awards that we're talking about and where to get them. But since right now I'm the only one here, Mike will be stopping in a little bit. His work has got him pinned down, but he's going to get out. So it is my job to tell all you lovely people out there about the Bar Cart Co-op. It is a collection of friends, like-minded interests that put out whiskey and whiskey-adjacent events that you can learn about, and there's a whole slew of them here. Now, let's be honest. The first one is Distillers Talk with Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson. They are the oldest show of the group, and they also like to get in depth with the distillers that they have on to get a little nuts and bolts of how things are actually done. It's a great show, but Alan has obviously more than one show like he does. The other one is One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, where he will answer your questions. If you get a hold of him, he'll get back to you on YouTube or Facebook and be able to answer the questions you have about distilling. So kind of a nice way to bounce ideas or get answers off of people. Next on the list is Mr. Kevin Rose from Bourbon Turntable, who blends the love of whiskey with the love of music. He has had some great shows on recently. He's going through a couple of them this past month from older episodes and bringing them back, but he will be back up with new stuff soon. Next, we have David Levine with Whiskey Ring Podcast. He is the newest member, but he is, like Mike usually says, the most professional, or at least way more professional than us. He has actual reviews, actual published works on things. Okay, we don't have that, so sorry about that, everyone. Dave's a little more finished off, but he does an excellent job at everything he does. And last on the list, we have If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. This is the show where Alan blurs the lines of spirits and spirit-adjacent issues. I was going to say he gets into the realm of the spirit world and brings that side into it as well, too, which is kind of neat because so often they do overlap, or kind of bleed into each other as time goes on. So it's neat to kind of see where that overlaps. So thank you, everyone, for sitting through that. It's good to see all of you. I really appreciate that. Tonight, we're going to do a little bit of a sample kill. I have a couple things here that I saw on my shelf that I have not gotten to at all and have never been opened. I asked Mike about them, and he said he finished these bottles. So he'll have some other samples to kill when he gets here. But the first one I'm going to start off with, is an ASW Fiddler Toasted Weeded. This one is batch 2303. Let's see here. Char number 1 and a heavy toast on this. Now, ASW is down by Atlanta, if you guys don't know that. They're one of those southern distilleries that I would hit up on a tour of the South if I were down there, especially if you're in, that little corner over there. It is one I would pick up on the way out to the coast. They do some fantastic malts and other products there, so I'm excited to see how this one goes. How's everyone doing in the chat? How was your guys' New Year's? You guys do anything fun out there? Oh, this is like rich milk chocolate coming up to the nose. The toasted marshmallow. This is... I'm not smelling like a graham cracker on a s'more, but this is very s'moresy coming up to the nose. The chocolate, the marshmallow, like the little bit of like the fire torched edge of the marshmallow. It starts getting there, so that nice toasting to it. Some molasses notes in there. My nose might be a little clogged still, not fully back to 100%, but we're getting there. I'm surprised how much a little dark chocolate in there. You can smell like that bitter note from that part of it. And there's it's like a fresh note to it. I think that's why I was going with that milk chocolate, where it gets waxy and then opens up. But I am not getting as much fruit notes as I have gotten off other ASWs off this first little bit here. So give me a second here. Oh, wow. Wow, this is chewy. This is really neat. A little more viscous flavor to it. As you're kind of pulling it through, you're really sucking it and the oils over your tongue and moving them around on this. This is really cool. I can see why Mike doesn't have any of this one left. Let me go back in here because that was a lot to kind of unpack there in a quick second. Yeah, this is a rush of chocolates and sweets, and then when you swallow, when you open up, the air comes in. All of a sudden, you get a little bit of a really nice tobacco note that mixes with the chocolate, brings in some baking spices. Those are still there, but they're a little covered over with what it feels like, this hanging chocolate feel to it. First entry is a little bright if you open up early. Really starts shooting through your nasal passages. I like this. I am surprised how much more this really focuses on where it is. It has a core set of, I'd say, maybe 6 flavors going on, and they roll around with each other. I'm not getting a lot of fruit notes out of here right now. It's what I was almost hoping for underneath all this chocolate, was like some type of like rolling raspberry or something. But the way it is, this is a really, really nice bottle. I think everybody have it. I'd almost put it more of in a dessert side of whiskey, so you could have it at any point. But pairing with chocolates and flavors of that note, or just like I said, marshmallows that are in here, maybe looking for like a toasting level going off of something like that, this would be one to play with something like that, because I think you would start really getting some of those flavors. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, that is a really, really, really solid whiskey. It is finished lighter than you think. You get the burnt toasted note on the side of your tongue over here, on the side here and here, and that's more what the finish is you're getting a little bit of burnt, you're getting a little bit more of the wood coming through, and let's say the sides and the bottom part of your tongue, where it's kind of pulling all that flavor back that way. Neatly complex, longer finish than I would have thought with it. That is a really, really, really fun little whiskey. I'm excited. I'll step back into this one. So I'm going to go over a couple things that we have coming up. I was going to say one of the shows we have coming up, I actually just got 2 of the sample bottles in from Northern Waters. One is the Red Fox, where it is a flavored whiskey, where it's cherry and almond flavored whiskey. Haven't even broke it open yet. It sounds like a unique flavor pairing to go for off of the whiskey coming into that, where you can use it in multiple drinks or multiple times of the year is what they were going for. So I'm excited to see that one, but let's be honest, the thing I've been waiting for, and I've mentioned before, is their peated single malt. Yes, Wisconsin has a peated single malt, and we have 1375 out there of it available, and we'll be breaking that up for us. And if any of you in the chat want to taste what this is like, hit me up, because it is something that is really, it's nice and it's inviting, and we'll have a show about we have Jeff, the distiller, on to talk about it, and we'll review it. But it is really, really well done, in my opinion, for the time, for as old as it is. I think it rounded a lot of edges. It hit the right spots with things. The peat was not overpowering. It was there playing in the background, but it still had a little hold, but it wasn't, like that grab you by the throat or shirt collar peat smell that you get off of some of them. It was nuanced and well done. So I'm looking forward to having that coming up. So I was really excited about getting those bottles. Those are going to be shipping out here to everyone else later this week, so we can get that taken care of. That's what I think everyone there is going to be excited about. It will slide into people's malt lists. I think it will sneak its way in, especially with that becoming a bigger talking point, I'd like to say, through a lot of American whiskey. Hey, Neil, good to see you. Single malt, in my mind, has become what is the new excited section of whiskey. I was going to say there was bourbon, there's rye for a while. You're starting to see, now that it finally got the okay and got the approval of the TTB, I think it's starting to really take hold as what's interesting for some people, because it finally has that designation, a category. Well, that is interesting, Spencer. Who's the people in Nebraska that have the peated malt there? If Mitch doesn't have it already, this could be another comparison show. That would be fantastic. That's an excellent idea. I'll have to get a hold of him when he gets done with work. Let's see. Do they? They sourced it from Ireland, I believe it was where they got it. I will know more, but I remember it was not from here. They did bring it over from overseas, but my apologies, I don't remember if it was Ireland or Scotland where they got it. But they did bring it over from overseas, because that was one of my first questions. I'm like, we do have bogs here, so I, was wondering, like, how far in depth did you go? But I can understand bringing it over from overseas too. You might be more familiar with the smoke style. If someone's more into Scotch, and be able to pull something from a region like, okay, we really like this from that, and maybe bring that over and see what happens. I think that would be pretty excited to see how that goes. Well, we'll talk about Spencer, because that does sound like some he should already have. Him and Morgan hit up a liquor store that was closing this weekend. I think they bought the store. I don't know. It seemed extensive, so they may have picked up a bottle in that mess of things. And I got another question for some of you guys out there in the chat. Have any of you heard of? I think it is Ren Gin. I mean, it was Emma Watson's gin with her brother, and really her father owns some vineyards over in France, is really the mastermind behind said thing. But I have not been able to find that, because it is out in the US, but it seems to be in boutique nerdy stores in Los Angeles, and that's about it. It hasn't really, I haven't seen it get overly big to fruition. So if anyone sees that or is in that area, let me know. It is something I'm intrigued to see. Since it's trying to be craft in the craft area, but with the names attached to it, I'm intrigued as to where the flavor profile really hits on this one. That's with the gins we had last year, and we've been trying more and more. And they have been, last year was exceedingly good for gins for us, with AJ's and Kelly's too, and there were two other ones. I could have almost had a gin category instead of specialty this year. We had a very good crop of gins this year. Some more playful and muted, light floral rose notes and stuff like that, and some other just bold citrus, overwhelming senses of what's going on. But it all very well done. And I am not becoming a gin person. Not to say I won't, but that is a section that is still opening itself up, and I think it's ones that you find some really neat things in. And I'm intrigued to see what that one tastes like. French, so not American, but French craft, and do they do what it needs to make it exciting? That's my kind of thought on that's why I want to see a celebrity gin, or because I've had let's be honest, most of us had some other celebrity whiskey or celebrity spirits. I'm going to tell you, in my experience, 2 out of 10 are good. Other people, there's some of them that just don't hit where they're supposed to hit, and it just is. It is what it is. It was part of a money grab, and I'm not ashamed. Sometimes that's totally fine for what it is. Or maybe you made a spirit for someone that doesn't drink whiskey, so it's hard. I don't even know how that works for a representative, because if you don't drink it, how can you taste to see if it's even in your flavor profile of thinking it's good? I don't know. So I'm a little iffy on the whole celebrity thing. I see it as kind of a cash grab a lot of times, but I see that one as being possibly interesting. Just because it seems like the dad's the one who really cares about it, and it's his project, and he has a collection of 30 wine producing farms over in France that are all part of like a collective. So I want to see where that goes. I want to see I'd like to see a different country's version of craft. Like, what are they starting to put out with stuff? Oh, are they, Spencer? I didn't know that they both got bought up by that. That was my bad. So Brickaway and Cut Spike, I didn't know they were the same. But that's another one of those things. Some things are condensing. Some people are moving away or getting bought up. So one of the next ones, little sample I got here, is one that has a company that has caused some stirs in the online reviews in the past. It is a Good Times chocolate peach brandy and bourbon cognac or bourbon cacao finished barrel. Good Times, I think it was Bourbon Santa had issues with them a couple years ago, where he was really wound up about how they did stuff. Little bits and pieces here and there. They thought they were not doing it quite as legal, as professional as they should, because there was a video of one guy screwing around once or twice. I've met the guys who made this. A lot of times I thought some of the stuff they have is a little crazy and a little over top, but they're doing weird barrels. If you're buying weird barrels and doing different stuff, that's what's going to happen. And no one forces anyone to buy $80, $100, $120 bottle. You did that on your own. That happens, and not everyone's good, but from the majority of what I have had from Good Times has been interesting, good whiskey. or good, attempts at making some type of creation with a finished barrel. Rarely did I have something where I was like, I don't think you really hit the mark. Price wise on some things, I can understand. Someone might think something's $20, $30 too high. If it's down here, this might be what I'd hit. That I can get. But are you getting something that comes out of this that tastes good? Like, are you hitting the goal at the end of the day? So that's where I'm going to try this one. It with a peach brandy and a bourbon cacao finish. I was expecting to hit a little more nose off of this. Maybe the ASW's chocolate smells really kind of overlapped it. So no. You definitely get more of the peach brandy. This is peach brandy with the cacao barrel being a far secondary on the finish, just coming off the nose here. It almost smells like it's a very macerated, ripened, mashed peach. You know what I mean? Very, very ripe, very almost to the edge of almost being overripe on the nose, where you're getting a little bit of that smell of them from like being on the ground. And that little bit of light decay nose where you start to get a little more of that fruit note the aroma starts to cut up. Oh, This is, and I'm getting the peach is also, it's got a couple stages of peach. It's got that like I was saying, that really dark kind of matured, overripe note, and it has like the bright, like the edge of the rind note in here too. Yeah, that's about halfway up the glass. If you move your nose halfway up and go in there, you get that right underneath the edge of the rind where you peeled it off, and you're getting that fresher nose scent of it. The chocolate on the nose here, it's almost like a white chocolate compared to the other stuff I'm getting. It's definitely not a milk chocolate. It doesn't have that bitter, like little itch edge to it when you're getting that deep cacao chocolate. This almost smells like a white chocolate covered strawberry. With peach, but I mean, it's got a little strawberry smell in here. Ooh, okay. Peaches and cream with chocolate drizzled around the top and mixed in. With a thin line of caramel spun around there as well too. So not bad notes on the nose. Way less bourbony than I was expecting. That brandy has a really bigger impact on the finish. I'd say it took over half the nose. I mean, at least half is the peach brandy in here. All right, here's. Oh. This is very nice. This would be very approachable. This would have been very nice over the recent holiday weeks. The chocolate nose, the pear, it doesn't get as creamy. Oh, they do. Oh, in the US. Okay, that's nice because that's a different one that ships. Thank you, Emily, because I was getting a hold of them directly because they only had certain stores that they put out to in that section, and you could order from overseas. I didn't see this place in the US you could order from. Awesome, Emily. That's why Emily's the best wrench in the business. So, oh. Bourbon is not. I don't have. Oh, really? This is 57%. I would not have guessed that. I would have been guessing more in the 40s. I was going to guess quite low. I don't have very much alcohol taste or even flavoring in what's going on here. So your cacao barrels, I could get playing in a far background, far back. It's not really as heavy as I would have thought. But yeah, when you hit it and drink, take the first open up, you get the 2-3 different flavors of peach, almost hitting different points on your tongue, where it's almost that bright new peach, freshly peeled in the front. As it hits to the medium and back, it rolls into the darker, matured, macerated, a little more decayed. You know, I have a little more time to ripen up type of peach, where you almost bite into it and it starts to fall apart a little bit. And that is a wonderful transition in the mouth. But the chocolate part for me doesn't. It's like it's a white chocolate, but then I'm getting bits of bitter on the taste. So it's like white chocolate, and then someone's like trying to throw like little specks of dark chocolate in there. I'm not as big a fan of that into it. I think I would have been happier with just a pear brandy on this, because that is really the star of what's going on inside this combo here. It's by far the best part of what the blend was. Yeah, because the chocolate taste comes, it hits really dark, bitter, and then it's almost like a titch of waxy, and then it like spins off your tongue. That part, no, not as big a fan. So like this one, for me, it's an okay good times. If you're looking at playing with what barrels can do, it's very interesting. And I would like to know, it would have been neat to know how long or how much of it was finished in peach brandy versus how much was finished in just a little of the cacao. Like maybe it really was like 80-20, and then this makes sense. But if it was a lot more, the cacao barrel didn't suck up as much. Maybe second or third use, something of that nature as well too. Oh, hey. Spencer, Gully Town is interesting, and that's the one that's not the blend. That's theirs, if I am correct. It would be interesting if they did a peat, but if I'm correct, isn't Restless Spirits the one that also, are they the one that age inside a cave? I can't remember if that was them or someone else right upside of Kansas City. But I thought if you're doing peat, that might be an also kind of neat way to pull in some of those, I don't want to call it cave notes, but some of the notes you get when you use more of a port, from being in kind of that damp, more cellarish area. That would, I think that Gully Town would work well, but I haven't had an older Gully Town. I've only ever had, who was it? I was going to say, I only ever had that when I think it was like a 2-year, like straight. And it could be older now. So maybe some of the older ones might seem like it lends itself to that more. I would have thought that they have a different one where I think they bring over stuff from actual Ireland, where it's their Sons of Erin line. I think that one would be much better in that line, or peated smoke on that would hit a little bit better. Sorry. I know someone does. I forget who. There was 2 people that had aged in caves up there at different points, and I couldn't remember if they were one of them or not. So, which, I mean, it's an interesting concept too, because you're climate controlled almost all the time. So you're gonna have a very uniform space to have it in. You probably won't have highs and lows unless you did it yourself. You know what I mean? Where, say, boy, wouldn't that be interesting? Aging in a cave where you're climate controlled, but like if you wanted to for like, say, 50 days of the year, we really fuck with it. You know, like we'll put it up and down instead of being at a constant 68 or 58. You know, we'll move it up to 82 and then let it drop back down. Like you force crash it to have some type of environment. How many of you have had stuff that has been aged in caves? Because it usually for me has a pretty mellow approach to it. You know, it seems to round its own corners when you have them aged in caves, just because you're not getting peaks and valleys as much. So Wollersheim has some caves that they age in as well too. Mostly their wine though. So let's see what else here. I've been talking with. There is a store down in Neenah, which is 45 minutes from where I'm at or so. It's called Grainworks. Like old and new, they did a lot of stuff with bourbon barrel signs and stuff like that for a while. A lot like Matt Bay did. Then they expanded and started actually bringing in own whiskeys and stuff like that, and opened up that side of the store where they have it. Went down there recently. Very nice looking store. Has a very nice selection of whiskey. Just kind of a main runner down the middle. But what they have for craft whiskey, an outstanding array of things to try. A lot of different nice big name ones. You got Peerless is there that you don't always have a lot of places now. There was all sorts of them, but the one I looked at, they had our friends from Glens Creek were there. They had 2 or 3 releases on the shelf, and they just did their very first barrel pick that the store has ever done. Is going to be an OCD number 5 barrel pick. So I'm excited to get that. You know how much we love them, and OCD number 5 was my whiskey of the year last year, and I believe Mike's as well too. When they're getting to the premium and stuff they do off of that, the array and depth of fruit flavors that you get smashing through that with everything else it's fantastic. So I'm happy to see this place. They seem to be supporting and trying to find new and unique people. Last week they brought in Dark Arts, as they had before releases of Dark Arts. So I was like, you're hitting neat stuff. You know what I mean? They're giving people some different stuff to try. So we're going to be having them come on here in the next couple of weeks as well too. Talk about how that started, how they got moving, where they're kind of moving to. They're a store that's small, but you're playing the social media game well, is what you really have to do. And when they have allocated releases and stuff, they always have big lines outside. So they're doing something right. We're going to take a look at it. I love the fact that it's not just all right by big brands. We're finding good whiskey. You're coming to our place, we have good whiskey. Here, what do you mean? Try the shelf. We can walk down it. We're going to find 40 bottles. You're all going to be happy. That's neat. The other thing they're doing is they're doing like sample sets. So they just recently they got a bunch of Penelope toasted, one like cask strength, and then they had 3 other ones that were like different plays on toasted variants. So what they're doing is they're putting it in a tasting box. So like $40, you can get 2 ounces of each, and you can have your own kind of tasting flight between the toasted barrels. It's neat to see someone do something like that, because you get a chance. Sometimes you want, yes, the $40 might be a bit much for that. When you're going out to some place to have it, it's not at all. That's 10 each. That's not a big deal, and you're really getting to have an experience of you tasting a variety of things rather than just hitting one. So I think that's neat for them to go about that, having basic tasting kits, and then to create them as they come in is a neat way to do that. Because maybe like they got 4 bottles of Dark Arts, maybe you can go get a sample set and try all 4. You spend $40 dipping your toe in, but you find out I want this and this bottle over here. it's a good tactic. We like to see that happen. So we're working on getting those guys on as well too. Whew, it is hot in my little basement here. Or maybe I'm having one too many sips of something to drink. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna find one other sample and do that. If Mike doesn't get on here, might call it quits this evening because I do have a couple things to do. But give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab one more sample and I'll be right back. Oh, my knees. All right. I got one more. I haven't tried in quite a while. I had something that was off the very first run of this. This is Stumpy Spirits new make. This one is 60% corn, 25% wheat, and 15% barley. Now, obviously, Stumpy's, Old Monroe now, slight name change since here, has been running this for a while, so that it's not just new make anymore on this. They actually have spirits used off of it. But this is one that they brought over from France, and it was supposed to be like a cognac. Still originally. So it is, and he put a ton of work into it. A ton of work into bringing this back to life from what it was. For a new make, you got that creamy scent off a new make where it's like a vanilla Werther's. Yeah, not quite a butterscotch. Right on the edge of butterscotch. There's like a little bit of that toasty note in there, but not much. But it doesn't have funk. It has a grain note to it, but it's very clean. Yeah, that's right. Adam's Frankenstein still. This is one of the other ones I hadn't tried, or at least it's not opened. So it has a nice chocolate note to it off the nose. That vanilla bean there. It's got the bean nose to it. That's where it's got a little more of that earthiness to it. But it does open up the nose, so. Very viscous. Very coating. Man. The top of my tongue is like trying to figure out what type of apples are in an apple pie. Like, it's cradling on my tongue, and you can taste. Let's try this again. Stumpy Spirits new make, Spencer, or Old Monroe is the name of the brand now. A slight name change. Yeah. The apple notes, apple, baking spices, but like brown sugar. This is an apple pie, Granny Smith. There's some Red Delicious in here too. Hold on. Ooh, it's the flaky crust, a little bit of sugar sprinkled on top. Ooh. Wow. And then in the mix of this apple pie, someone drizzled some caramel underneath the crust, though. Underneath it, the crust is on top. This is a really, really fun new make. There are not many new makes that you have that are enjoyable to drink by themselves. I'm going to be honest, had a lot of them off the still, and you're like, oh, well, that's fine. So you get a couple flavors. Sometimes it's not strong. Sometimes it blends in. I've had about 5 or 6 new makes off the still where I found they themselves interesting. This is something where I found it itself interesting before you even get to put it in anything. This is really neat. Yeah, man. It tastes like a symphony of apples. Just sliding up and down through your mouth. Like, yeah, it's an apple pie with different apples that you cannot peg on the inside. Someone uses like 3 different types of apples. No, that's exactly it, Neil. There's 1 or 2 others. There's Gary's. He's got 3 corns that are like that. I was like, he's the only one that I've ever seen did a Bloody Butcher all by itself and had the Bloody Butcher corn come to fruition and not be aggressive and just, smacking you around. That's another lovely new make that I haven't seen anyone else be able to quite tame the same way. There's 1 or 2 others that we've had that maybe had berry notes and stuff, but this is a really, really good new make. And it just smells more vanilla bean cream on the nose with a little bit of crust. You don't get any of the apple coming through off the nose, or at least for me. I just might say my nose might be a little off, but I'm not. But damn. Cutting through that inside. Okay, that's fucking delicious. That's really good. Wow. That's like, what was it? We had that's as surprising as when we had Cole Keegan's unsmoked malt. Because that was what I would have thought that to use the smoked malt like they did at Cole Keegan or Santa Fe Spirits, now a slight name change again, that you might not have had an all-together standalone whiskey. Like maybe you might have had a malt and you wanted to torque it, so like this is a good one to torque it on. But their whiskey begin with had me go back. I asked Colin, I'm like, how the fuck did you switch? Like, it was a very solid whiskey. Nothing like the smoked versions, but very nice and really approachable and complex in its own right before they'd done that. So, I don't know, there's a couple of them there where you get some changes where you see what happened and you see the beginning and you're like, I'm so damn impressed. I don't even know how you went to be or see to make that happen. So I haven't had any stumpy stuff in a year or 2, so that'd be interesting to go back and see some of those. Kind of like a couple other people, like with Royce at Neely. They always had stuff originally. We had them what was aimed and focused for coming out what we thought maybe 2 or 3 years. It's been longer. You have longer wait times and stuff. It'd be neat to see how some of that started dropping in now when it gets to be 6, 7 years old rather than 2, 3. It's always neat to see what complexity does as it builds on. But I don't know here. I'm feeling pretty decent. A couple ones I had are all nice. I'm probably going to call the show for this evening because Mike hasn't showed up yet. And that means his work is abusing him more than they should. And that's all right. I do it enough, but I think he might have wanted to have a drink when he was done with the meeting. But I think I'm going to cut it a little short here. I've had 3 really nice whiskeys. Let's go 2 really nice. The Good Times is all right. It was neat playing things. The peach side of it, fucking the bomb on that. Just the other, there's 20% that didn't live up to the rest of stuff spinning around in there. The ASW toasted, fantastic whiskey, and this Stumpy's new make is just great off the bat. Just great off the bat. The apple notes you're getting that on the flavor that you don't get in the nose gives it this lovely twist, and the play in your brain is great. So next Monday, stop in. We'll be having our Craft Whiskey Awards show. It will be a recorded show, but we will be in the chat talking with you, going over everything like that. Mitch is working a different shift. So we got to work that in there. And also upcoming on a Monday, we're going to be recording on the weekend, is a show with our friend Paul Nims. We're going to be doing snack cakes and whiskey pairings legitimately. And we'll be recording that, and then we'll play that one live as well, too. So we have some stuff coming up here. Keep your eyes out, but especially next week when we get to the Craft Whiskey Awards. We've tasted some things. Oh, look at this. Look at this. What it's right as I'm walking out the door.
Sorry.
The dog comes in. Hey, you're here. How was the meeting, big guy?
It was a meeting. It was good. How what did you kill? Hey, it's an evening meeting, so there were good things.
I'm hot right now because I've had a few. Just telling you, my body is warm at this moment. ASW Fiddler, the toasted wheated, has great whiskey. That is a lesson in chocolate.
That was a beautiful, beautiful whiskey.
Yes, lesson in chocolate and late toasted marshmallows. It was great. Then I jumped on that Good Times chocolate peach version where it's the peach brandy and the cacao finish.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Like that, I said it like I was just saying that thing's the peach brandy part of that is the star. That half of it's like got all neat labels of peach, 3 different layers of like the level of it. It's just that there's 20% of it where like a cacao kicks in where it's like white chocolate and too much dark chocolate. It's not all there. That part's got it. Then I tried Stumpy's new make on the new still because I had that sitting there. I hadn't tried that one in forever.
You didn't kill it though, did you?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I've got to get back in touch with Adam about coming on and talking about that. But yeah.
Well, that one for a new make is fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's my statement on that one because there's levels, there's layers. It is like I was telling,
and that's an early new make off. That's like one of the first new makes off of that still.
Yeah, and so this one I was like, it's apple pies. It's an apple pie that has like 3 different apples in it when you're making it, and it has like the caramel drizzled on the inside, crust over the top, and then the sugar on top of it. And I'm like, that's pretty goddamn complex for a new make. When on the nose, I get vanilla cream, like Werther's Originals vanilla cream, but no apples.
Actually,
so the new make is totally fun. That is just a fun.
I'm gonna take a whiff of it.
All right,
because it's been a while.
Oh, Paul, good to see you.
Oh yeah, it is. It is creamy.
Yeah, but you don't get that on the flavor.
It doesn't have the metallic grain.
No.
On the nose that a lot of new make does. Yeah, I'll have to pour some of that. My glass is pretty tainted with some. I killed the last of a Promethean.
Oh, of the destruction bottle?
No. That was that bottle's long gone. This is that was the old Tombstone style bottle. This was the newer style bottle of Promethean. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have. I've got a dry fly multiversal monster. I've got.
Try. Put that one in there. I want to see what you think of that one.
You know what? I'll put it with it. I want to put it with a little Promethean, and then I'll have some by itself. Because you know what? It's been today was a long week. So.
Well, it is 9:00, and you're just getting done with.
Well, we're doing our. This week and these 2 days in particular is our annual updates of our major software across all locations. and I'll just
turn
say,
off their system and then reboot it.
I purposely over a month in advance sent notices out to everybody and said, hey, just a reminder, this is going to happen. Because even though everybody knows it, every year people are like, nobody told me. When the hell am I going to find about it? So I sent explanatory emails of what exactly was going to happen each day. I sent out messages to individual groups and individual people. And then I also forced calendar invitations on everybody company-wide, including people that won't have anything to do with it. And so then I knew that I knew they all got it. And a lot of people accepted it. Some people declined it, but I don't care because that shows that you looked at it. And still there were people up to Friday going, well, what's going to happen? What? Yeah. Anyway, it just added to it. I do want, but before we do it, because I do want to, if we could do I would like to do a toast. Oh, if we could. Yes. I really despise having to do this, as you know, and some others know. One of my very best friends lost his wife yesterday morning. So what? I do want to do a toast for my friend. I also want to do a toast for her boys, for her family, the family that they had together, because there's nothing good comes out of that, as I have experienced myself. But to them and the family, and to anyone else that is experiencing loss,
cheers.
To you.
Apologies.
So, well, Multiversal Monster and Promethean together, Scotchy.
Oh, I would think so. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. Anyway,
I cheers them with the wrong drink. So sorry,
that's
folks.
okay.
We'll find a different one here, and we'll make an adjustment.
Well, Ann was a wine drinker, not a whiskey drinker, so there is no wine in my house to do that with. But
there goes the top. Ran away. Right, then I'm gonna mix something while you're doing yours. I'm gonna put some Stumpy's New Make with some ASW.
Well, save some of that, Stumpy's.
But I did. I'm fine, but it's delicious.
So that ASW toasted, weeded, that was a single barrel pick from our friends at Sealbox.
Yes, I remember that.
One guy, was it last? No, it wasn't last year.
About a year and a half ago.
The year before, that was my favorite whiskeys. Period. Just an absolutely delicious whiskey.
I'd agree. It's a fun one. I slid it more into dessert for me. I started with it and just all the chocolate notes and
rich,
notes, and just that's where that one kind of.
I have not had a single thing from ASW that I did not like, and I've had things like that. That one surprised me quite a bit. I'd had ASW bourbon. I've had the single malts. The Fiddler, Georgia Heartwood, fantastic.
Georgia Heartwood's awesome.
The Tire Fire, great. The Tire Fire cast strength, amazing. ASW was fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
I was saying there definitely if you were going to go to the south, like that southwest region where it's like, say, there to the coast as a vacation, I'm like, we land in Atlanta and you hit up ASW.
Go to the Coca-Cola factory. And no, seriously. And then also for flavors, we did that. And it was, this is several years ago now, but they had, the new red Mix-a-Lot Coke machines, that were all invented by, I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, they had those set up and you could do Coke products from all over the world.
Oh, that
anything you wanted. You just go up to it and you punch it. And there were a couple of them that were made from some sort of root. And they were, people that, we all joke about Malort, and everyone likes, this made Malort taste like a fine bourbon. It was rough. So of course I tried it first and I was like, ugh. And then, one of my kids came over and I was like, oh man, you've got to try this. And they're like, oh yeah. And then they tried like, ugh. And so then they caught him right away and they get the other ones like, oh man, you've got to try this. So then we all got, when we got my wife over, it's like, oh, you've got to try this. And she's like, oh really? And she tries, and she looks and she's like, okay, all right, you guys are all in on this or something, something like that. And we're
all
like,
of you are waiting for me.
Yeah. This tastes like crap. Get somebody else to try it.
Here, smell this. This smells bad. Here. Someone hands it to you, like, damn it.
Yeah. It reminded me of Randy on My Name is Earl. He kept touching the radiator. Ow! Man, Earl, you should touch this. This is hot. Ow! Ow! And he just kept touching.
Sorry, I remember that spot. Excuse me.
Anyway.
Sorry about that. So no, I was telling everyone about the couple people coming on the show coming up. The Grainworks one, I'm working on them. How they got in for dark arts, and their first barrel pick is OCD5 premium barrel pick. And I'm like, for your first barrel pick for store, it's a fucking awesome choice.
Yeah, we I was reading back through the chat here to see if there's anything that I missed.
We were talking about who had the storing, who does the cave storage for whiskey in Kansas City. I was wrong. I thought
Ben Holiday has. They have their ancient cave release.
I thought someone else did it too, though. I thought Union.
No, there is a place. There is a place that's in the caves that has. Yeah. They had a gin and something else. They were fairly young.
Okay, that's what.
But I haven't seen those actually in a while, to tell you the truth. Now that you mention that, because I do remember seeing their stuff. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I was talking about how you have consistency in there, and you usually end up with like rounded flavors from caves or stuff of that nature because you don't get high, low. It's just whatever. I'm like, but you could crash it or like jack it up to like 80 and then crash it like 3 times in the middle of the day or something. I'm like, it might be neat to have a controlled warehouse that you could really fuck with.
Yeah.
Where you're not concerned about some of the other atmospheric issues when doing so.
Jesse, I think that's it.
Okay. It's been a while. I just remember it was there and we were like, man, that would be neat, but they didn't have much to try.
No, like I say, locally there was the vodka and then there was something else that they had that I think it was a distilled spirit. But excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
There you go.
That's got a little heartburn coming back.
That's the work, Mike. That's got nothing to do with the whiskey.
Oh, I'm sure that absolutely is the work. Believe me. It's like, now I know why everybody there in the 80s was alcoholics.
You know what? There's something about the whatever this bracket was to when like having a small sip at work. I feel like people got almost too uppity. Not to say too uppity, but I get the respect of this end, but I'm like,
it depends on the culture.
I think
it depends on the culture, because there's also, we have no, they're no longer here, but we had a competitor in town that they had an old school Coke fridge chest, like you'd put the thing anyway, but it was filled with beer, but you could not access it until Friday after a certain time. And then people would just, you'd hear the change go dropping in there and people get those bottles, but it was controlled. There were a lot of other places though that sales being salespeople and stuff like that, especially when it comes from the top, that it's like, as long as you're performing, whatever you're doing is working. And they allowed a lot of that stuff. And,
What do you mean? This is how we start negotiations, is with a double.
Exactly.
This is how it starts, people.
Well, yeah. So,
but hey,
I'm not gonna.
There's a fair bit of honesty that happens in that too. So I don't want to lie about that in golf course deals, because that.
Well, there is, but when those people all start dying off or retiring or losing their jobs, and then you've got old school people trying to mix with newer folks, it doesn't work. And I saw that in our stuff because then people were like,
Does anyone want to
just
hang out with Doug? To take some of Dave's old accounts. They're a bunch of old people, and they still like to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to. I don't encourage or publicize
anything
at my work for people to check this out, but I also don't want to say anything.
That gets you in trouble. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't care about that. But I'm just talking about just old stuff in the past. But anyway.
So, how is your multiversal monster?
It's so it took a minute to rinse out of what was in there. I poured a little bit more of the Promethean.
Fifth Amendment. That's right. You can claim that in real stuff.
Oh, I could, but I just don't want to. I mean, there's good people that don't do the things that they used to do, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Things change.
But there's also people that have been long retired and or are dead that I would be happy to tell stories about.
I did that at work. I went through like the old pictures we had of stuff from like the 60 years we've been in business because I was going through old stuff and just paring it down and like, what are all these? And I was like, came up with somebody who's like, I want to put these on because I was making like a picture board over the last like 40 years. I'm like, oh, there's stuff. Here's a cool picture. This is neat. Want to be people like to see this type of stuff. I had a package of these. I was like, these are awesome. I don't think I can put them up, but these are the real pictures of what happened here. How a deal got done. I'm like, there's a couple of these are fucking awesome. I'm like,
yeah, there's.
You went through it, be like, you can put that one up. You can put that one up. Nope. He doesn't drink anymore. No.
Yeah, there's like no pictures of work, but there was back in the early 90s. One of the guys there had gotten a video camera, one of those newfangled video cameras, but it made you look like you're part of the news crew. And so he had that big honking VHS thing in there, and he decided to come into work, and it was pre doing the first renovation because it was basically just an open old warehouse. The buildings that we're in are there was a huge film distribution industry in Kansas City.
Yeah, there was.
And our building was full of vaults because they stored movies there. Yeah. So
there's all sorts of exciting questions with this.
Oh yeah, no. So anyway, there's some cool stuff, and anyway, so it was just a wide open area, and people had their work tables and they did all their stuff. So it was cool to see that pre anything getting cleaned up, and stuff like that. But then you saw the people. Because one of my really good friends who had retired from there, always had very close cropped hair. And then all of a sudden, the camera pans over and there he was. It was like right after he started, massive Lionel Richie mane. Whatever, like, whoa, what? Put that camera back over there. Let's go check him out. And you see some of the other people there with their overalls or acid wash jeans and other stuff there. It was pretty comical to check that out. So, but that was like around 90 because I started there beginning in 94. So I've been there a while. I put in my time.
94. That's cool.
Yeah, it'll be starting it'll be 31 years next week.
Did they give you a watch or anything?
You're hilarious.
Just saying.
No.
By what was it? My old work. Of course, I didn't get this, but the lady who was there, who was like the manager for however 20, 30 years, was like in charge. Like something happened, she just was like, "I'm going to quit and leave, and you'd have to go a beggar ass to come back," type of thing. It's like I should have done what you said in the first place. She got a trip to Alaska, and I was like, "Fuck." I didn't get a trip to Alaska before I left.
Yeah, what
the fuck was that?
Yeah, we used to get pins that were sent from the parent company and handed to us. I got my 5-year pin at like year 7. I got my
That's when you were
10-year
actually
pin.
recorded as being.
Yeah. Yeah. I got my 10-year pin. It was like year 13 or something like that. And then, but when I got the day I got it, there was a person actually from our parent company that we did a lot of really close work with, and she was just visiting on her day off, and she was over in our area, and I was escorting her out, because that's what you do, you're nice people. And the boss was coming in, and he acknowledged her, and he goes, "Oh, here you go. Happy anniversary." And again, it was my 10th anniversary pin on like my 13th or 14th year. And she saw that, and she looks over at me, and then she looked at him, and I swear to you on everything, she says, "Well, that was fucking touching." And the boss got this look like whatever, and then she just smiled. She goes, "See you later." And she took off. And I talked to her already. That's awesome. I talked to her later, and she was like, she said something like, "I cannot believe." It's like, no, this is pretty much. There's probably a drawer full of pins over there. That
lucky I didn't get the 20 when he grabbed it.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Emily, have enough dirt on people. Oh no, I did. I keep track of things. There's a reason that I push conversations from verbal to something where there's a record that can be called back up, and that has come in very handy.
I've done that with people too. Why do you always like to email people or get someone's email? Why do you like to do that all the time? Like, because what I'm doing is I'm picking a fight, and I don't really want to do it, but this is what's happening, and we need to have a record of what they say because this matters. What do you mean? I'm like, I'm calling them morons. I'd like to have this down where I do it and why I did it, rather than just they go, "He called me a fucking moron." I'm like, I did, but there were reasons.
Yeah. I will send information before a meeting in writing. Or before something is going to come up. It's like, okay, here's the thing. So then that way I can also say, so do you remember when I told you about this? Well, when was this? About 11 months ago. And I said this was going to happen. So, yeah.
Matt did that at his work. They're having some transition. He's like, when we do this is we're not, no one's really entered any of these kits into the system. And you're going to be selling all these kits, and you don't even have the parts for the kits packaged together. See how this would become a problem? They're like, "Oh, but," he's like, so he's called me. He's like, "So how I mentioned that like 8 months ago?" Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, we're going live tomorrow, and we haven't done shit." I was like,
"That's fair."
Well, good luck to you, cross-referencer. So he's like, "Fuck you." I'm like, "Well, that's going to be your job for 3 weeks, is redoing what you wanted to do beforehand before this happened."
Yes. Yeah. Records are good when you can come back up and say, as per the first time I told you about this a couple of years ago, this was going to come up. This is going to come up. This is going to come up. Being proactive and also warning you, this is going to be an issue. This is going to be an issue. And we've had a whole bunch of stuff that have happened. I work in graphics and things with licensing and stuff that have changed, and Adobe, very large software manufacturer, decided to cut off support for older style fonts, which there are hundreds of thousands of them floating out there, and they basically made it with their own software 2 versions ago that if you use one of the fonts that they manufactured, in most cases, it won't work. And so if you
have the right to it?
Correct.
Okay.
The newer software will not allow you to use it. So the problem is that you've got people, they'll try to pull up something that they haven't opened up in a couple of years because they're getting ready to make some changes to it. And the font,
you got to restart it.
Yeah. A lot of fonts might not matter. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if you're trying to
some people have a style.
You're trying to fix something, and you're really only going to be fixing one color in that, because you're only updating the black because the ingredients have changed, and that's it. Well, now you've got to change everything, and also if you've done perfect fitment of everything else with all your type, and people who have used who've used Word have seen the worst of it, of how Word likes to wrap things. Well, if you make things match, they won't match. So it's a huge problem that we pointed out. And also, with color and stuff that have changed. There's been huge changes that we've been saying, hey, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Okay. And then something happened. And like, oh my God, we got a problem. Yeah, it's weird. If only somebody would have said something about that a while ago, like that this was going to be an issue. Oh, good Lord. Anyway.
It's all right. That's all good, man.
I know. But I'm at the point now too where I'm like, how much time do I really have?
You're all good.
Do I have 10 years in me? I don't.
It's do you have 10 years to deal with these people? Or you're like, I don't know if I can do this 10 more times, telling everyone, hey, here's an emergency.
Just in general, when you're like, I'm close, do I have to do this? Anyway.
I have to get Mike a GoFundMe page so he doesn't have to deal with this anymore.
Yeah. No, there's many things that are appealing about early retirement and just doing something else. So anyway.
Well, I know you hopped on late, but I'm starting.
Oh, I'm good. I've caught up quite quickly, I think, to you. So
very good.
And like I said, it's been quite a long day. I'll have to catch the early part of the kill, but yeah, hopefully we'll have. There's so much stuff that's like floating out here for the show that it's gonna hit, and it's gonna all hit at one time. But I think this holiday hit a lot of people. It seems like. A bunch of stuff, and especially some of these smaller people. Yeah.
Well, I was getting stuff from Northern Waters. I was over being sick.
I saw that.
I did not want to do too much handshake and talking because I was like, well, I don't want to send you home with something, even though I seem like I'm over it and I think I'm good. I don't want to ruin your guys' next week. You know how it is? I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, but yes, I did. And that peated son of a bitch is on its way. Sorry, people. I'm excited about that. That's doing the Mexican hat dance because it's something weird, and I fucking love weird. And the other one's weird too. Did I tell you about the other one? That's flavored whiskey.
Okay.
Flavored with cherry and almond.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's the Jeff's new guy. It's his little thing. He wanted to make a whiskey that, flavored whiskey that goes.
Excuse me. Bless me.
Can be tailored towards all sorts of seasons and
sneezins.
Sneezins and events that happen around here.
Sneezins and squeezins.
And I was like, it's an interesting. The cherry I get because Wisconsin, you could toss that in an old fashioned, bang, that hits right away. But the almond part to it, I'm intrigued to see how much that comes through. You know what I mean? That's not a bad flavor. It's a neat flavor, but it's not one you always get in whiskeys. Is almond. You'll get nut, but I'm not going to say you always peg down an almond in it. So I'm kind of intrigued with that. So those who believe in Tuesday or Wednesday, and we'll have that one set up. But like I told them, that it's coming Monday. You'll be seeing the Craft Whiskey Awards for the show. So, how do you know marzipan?
As soon as we got to get Mr. Mitch and Miss Morgan.
Well, they're working on it.
I know.
They're
get their schedule all worked out.
Mitch is just on a different schedule. That's not his fault. That's the way he's rolling at the moment. And Morgan, I want her to get healed up. If it takes 2 months, we'll just get healed up and back on your feet because they need to stop toying with her. It's the best way to do that. Medical facilities stop toying.
Well, she's doing, which I'm sure she's posted a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are also friends with her online stuff.
Yes.
And she's posted some stuff, but it seems like they're getting things better, or at least figuring out what is causing the discomfort, which is important because she really doesn't need it. So
no one needs that when you're trying to just get better and back to square one. You know what I mean? So, who wish them both the best in getting better and stuff. And Mike, to your friend and their family before we take off,
Yeah.
proper cheers, because that is tough and we're sorry.
Appreciate it.
And now to everyone you out there in the chat, thank you for stopping in and sticking around this long. We'll see you next Monday evening for our big show. We'll be in the chat as we play it to go along with everybody. So we will see you then. Remember, it is not the size of the den that matters. It is the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.